Let's take a look at Terry v. Ohio and look at the quick facts of the case and why is it so important to overturn Terry v. Ohio? What is Terry v. Ohio? Well, let me tell you what Terry v. Ohio is practically. It is practically the supreme law of the land. When the rubber meets the road and you look at what the Constitution is supposed to be and what the First Amendment and the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment and the Fifth Amendment is supposed to uphold and protect, well, Terry v. Ohio tears all of that down in one fair swoop. And here's the facts of the case. Terry and two other men were observed by a plainclothes policeman in what the officer believed to be casing a job, a stick up, end quote. The officer stopped and frisked the three men and found weapons on two of them. Terry was convicted of carrying a concealed weapon and sentenced to 3 years in jail. What does that tell us about the mentality of the police officer? First of all, there was no crime afoot. All he had was suspicion, and that's where we get RAS, reasonable articulable suspicion. The second thing is the cop didn't respect, not only did he not respect the Fourth Amendment right to be secure in your person, he disrespected Terry's right to keep and bear arms, which is not supposed to be infringed, Mr. Police Officer. But he not only infringed upon that, he broad brush took it away. So obviously the Supreme Court, who's here to uphold, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States as well, right? Of course, they thought that was the worst thing in the world. And they were like, police officer, why are you doing that? Give Mr. Terry his gun back and stop doing that to people on the street. That's what the Supreme Court said, right? Nope. The Supreme Court concluded in an 8-1 decision, they held that the search undertaken by the officer was reasonable under the Fourth Amendment, which says you're supposed to make sure that people are secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects, not making them insecure, which is exactly what this cop did. So they said that wasn't even a violation at all. And that's reasonable under the Fourth Amendment, and that the weapon seized could be introduced into evidence against Terry. Why? It's a weapon that you have the right to keep and bear, and nobody's got a right to infringe on the right to keep and bear. So the Supreme Court in one fell swoop says, hey, Americans, you under Terry v. Ohio, you don't have a Fourth Amendment right to be secure in your person, and you don't have a right to keep and bear arms, and we're going to go ahead and infringe on that right. That's why Terry v. Ohio, practically speaking, is the supreme law of the land. Get it out of your mind. It is fiction to say the supreme law of the land is the Constitution of the United States. Because what police officers do when they leave the academy is they swear to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States and all the laws, including the ones that conflict with and contradict the supreme law of the land. That's how messed up and upside down and backwards and inside out our world is. Attempting to focus narrowly on the facts of this particular case, the court found that the officer acted on more of a hunch and that, quote, a reasonably prudent man would have been warranted in believing Terry was armed and thus presented a threat to the officer's safety. Officer's safety, you don't say. While he was investigating his suspicious behavior, the court found that the searches undertaken were limited in scope and designed to protect the officer's safety incident to the investigation. What is this saying? Officer safety trumps individual rights. Officer safety trumps individual rights. And then we got somebody in the chat room, enjoy prison, Chili's. That person would not want prison on themselves. And that person would say, well, I wouldn't have done what Chili did. Well, would you sleep in your bed at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning? Would you be willing to accept prison if the cops on some anonymous tip broke into your house, terrorized your wife, shot your dog, and threw you into a jail, into a cage? You don't see, in America, you don't have to do anything that is even unlawful. You can actually, you know what? You can go to prison in America for doing the right thing. In Florida, they arrested a 90-something-year-old man who was giving food to homeless people because there was an ordinance against giving food to homeless people. He went to jail for that. 90-something years old. They even cuffed the guy. I mean, what kind of cowardly cop do you have to be? So let me ask you, dude who said enjoy prison Chili's. What's the limit? What's the limit What's the limit in authority that a cop can exercise to apprehend another member of the public, which a cop is just a member of the public with a special uniform, a shiny badge, and the supposed authority of the state? What's the limit at which you would say, wait a second, he probably shouldn't have gone to jail? He shouldn't have gone to jail. Do you believe Daniel Shaver should have been shot dead by Mesa police officer Philip Brailsford? Do you believe that the Minnesota cop was right in offing Philando Castile as he was trying to pull out his CCW, which was requested by the cop? I mean, at which point do you say, yeah, I think Chili DeCastro should be in jail for 180 freaking days for a half a year because he obstructed and he resisted? So based on the arbitrary whim of a badged law enforcer, it's okay to completely take away an American's freedoms and have them rot in a for-profit prison. Unbelievable, man. Sometimes I just wonder if people are just doing this to troll, or if they truly believe down in their soul that it's okay to put somebody away who did not create a victim, who did not harm someone, who didn't threaten to harm someone, who didn't damage property. Well, that's not the way the court sees it, Brian. Well, guess what? The person is wrong. I don't know if he's evil, miss constitutional rights, because I want to leave the gate open for, the correct view on what people are, because there are a lot of people that are indoctrinated. There are a lot of people that are misinformed. There are a lot of people who probably mean well, who probably think that Chili's a threat to society, or their viewpoint and their perspective has been painted by people who are, of unsound character, let's say. So I like to give people a chance. I don't like to, you know what? I want to bring people to our side. And what is our side? And I'm not like a fanboy. I'm here helping Chili as a friend. There's some things that he's done that I tell him straight out, dude, I don't think you should be, man, I would not do that. And I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal and stamp myself and mint myself as a standard or anything. But I just don't think it's prudent to be talking to easily ego damaged law enforcement officers like that without expecting some kind of repercussion. And injustice is happening to Chili. But we also have to admit that part of that could be his fault. Am I saying that Chili shouldn't have been in jail for 180 seconds, let alone 180 days? He shouldn't have even been given a citation. If Bork wanted him back, he should have told him exactly how far back he wanted. So, basically in the estimation of the court, because they put Chili away 180 days for officer safety and obstructing and resisting, basically what they're saying is any officer can give any arbitrary, enigmatic command with no specifics. And if they don't meet what was in the officer's mind, the idea of where the officer thought he should go, which, by the way, was 55 feet back because he said he should go back by that red semi-truck, that is absolutely unreasonable. Even in the eyes of people who are going to bat for the cops, are going to bat for Zimmerman, are in the corner of the court system in the prosecution. Bork wanted Chili to go back 55 freaking feet. If that is not an infringement on the right to freedom of press, I don't know what is. But Brian, people ambush police every day. Well, we get ambushed by the cops every day. Jail really slows time down. A day feels exactly like a week, and so on and so forth. Yeah, it's horrific. Should anybody go to jail? Yeah. Who should go to jail? Who should be separated from society and locked into a cage? People that go out of their way to harm other people. And I'm talking about anybody who dares to lift up their hand against any other person. I don't care if they're wearing a uniform badge and a gun, come to the authority of the state, wear a black robe and call themselves a judge, call themselves a politician. If anybody harms anybody or contracts that other people get harmed, those are the people that should be in prison, not somebody who violated some unspoken, unwritten 21-foot, be back as far as you can for my safety. So yeah, Terry v. Ohio is supreme to the Constitution in this police state from the perspective of the law enforcement community and from the perspective of the injustice system. Terry v. Ohio is the supreme law of the land and must be overturned. I completely agree. No victim, no crime. If there is no victim, there can be no crime, because what is a crime? You have harmed somebody else. You have damaged somebody else's property. You've stolen their property and didn't return it. You have defrauded them. Again, if you disagree that Terry v. Ohio is indeed, practically speaking, the supreme law of the land over and above your specifically, I'm not going to generalize the Constitution. Let's just say Terry v. Ohio, practically speaking, in the eyes of law enforcement and the court system, trumps the First Amendment right to freedom of the press and freedom of speech, the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, and in some cases, the Fifth Amendment. What we have here is officer safety trumps individual rights.